Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, you're just not getting ahead? Maybe you wake up exhausted, already behind before your day even starts. Maybe you watch others succeed while you're stuck in the same cycle, working late, scrolling mindlessly, promising yourself tomorrow will be different. You tell yourself you'll change, but tomorrow comes and nothing does. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're just missing one quiet, powerful truth. Here's what you need to know. Success isn't born in grand moments, it's built in the dark, before the world wakes up. This is the story of a boy who watched his father rise at 5 a.m. day after day, and how that simple ritual didn't just change his dad's life, it rewrote his son's future. It's not your fault. You weren't taught to build discipline. You were taught to chase motivation, and motivation always leaves when things get hard. But what if I told you the secret isn't talent, luck, or even hustle? What if it's something quieter, something repeatable, something anyone can do? This story begins in a small apartment in Cleveland, Ohio. A single father named Marcus worked overnight shifts at a warehouse. He came home at 3 a.m., slept for 2 hours, and rose again at 5 a.m. every single day. His son, Elijah, was 14. He watched his dad move like a ghost through the kitchen, silent, tired, but never skipping, never quitting. Marcus wasn't rich, he wasn't famous. He had student debt, a broken-down car, and a fridge that often held little more than milk and eggs. But he had one thing most people don't: consistency. And Elijah saw it every morning. The soft click of the coffee pot, the rustle of worn-out sneakers by the door, the way his dad would glance at him sleeping, then step out into the cold dark without a word. Little did Elijah know, everything was about to change, not because of a big break, but because of a small habit repeated long enough to become destiny. By 16, Elijah was lost. He failed 2 classes in high school. His friends were drifting into trouble. He spent nights playing video games until 3 a.m., then dragged himself to school half awake, ashamed of how little he cared. At home, money was tight. His mom had left years ago. His dad barely spoke, not from anger, but exhaustion. Elijah started believing he was just average, maybe worse. "I'm not smart like other kids," he'd whisper to himself in the mirror. "I'll probably end up working the same job as Dad, and that's if I'm lucky." He tried joining the basketball team, but quit after 2 weeks when he couldn't keep up. He downloaded a study app, used it 3 times, then deleted it. He even set his alarm for 6 a.m. once, but hit snooze until noon. The shame grew heavier. Every time he saw his dad leave at 5 a.m., rain, snow, or heat, he felt smaller. Not because his dad judged him, but because his dad never asked for praise, never complained, just showed up. One winter morning, Elijah woke up at 4:55 a.m. by accident. He heard his dad in the kitchen coughing, a dry, tired sound. He peeked through the crack in his door. Marcus was sitting at the table, head in his hands, eyes closed, not sleeping, just holding on. Then, without looking up, he whispered, "Gotta keep going, for him." Elijah backed away, heart pounding. That night, he cried into his pillow, not from sadness, but from guilt. He realized his dad wasn't just surviving, he was sacrificing, and Elijah was wasting it. He stared at the ceiling until sunrise, thinking, what if I'm the reason he's so tired? That was his rock bottom. Not dramatic, not loud, just quiet despair in a dimly lit room, wondering if he'd ever be enough. A week later, Elijah found an old notebook in his dad's coat pocket. Inside, written in messy handwriting, Day 1247. Woke at 5, ran 2 miles, read 10 pages, called Mom's grave, felt weak, did it anyway. Beneath it, small things done daily become unstoppable. Elijah didn't understand it then, but he copied the quote onto his phone's wallpaper. He asked his dad about it one evening. Marcus just shrugged. "I read it in a library book 10 years ago. Said success isn't about big wins, it's about showing up when no one's watching, even when you don't feel like it." "That's it?" Elijah asked. "That's it," his dad said. "Discipline beats motivation every time, because motivation fades, discipline stays." At first, Elijah didn't believe it would work for him. He'd failed at everything. Why would this be different? But then he remembered that morning, the cough, the silence, the love hidden in exhaustion. So he made a decision. Not to become rich, not to be famous, just to honor his dad by trying. On Monday, he set his alarm for 5 a.m. He told no one. When it rang, his body screamed no. His bed felt like a sanctuary, but he thought of day 1247. He got up. He didn't run, didn't read, didn't even brush his teeth right away. He just sat on the edge of his bed and stayed awake. That was day 1. Day 2, he made coffee, burnt but drinkable. Day 3, he opened a book, read 1 paragraph. Day 4, he walked around the block. Cold air stung his lungs. It wasn't heroic, it was awkward, messy, humbling. But something shifted. For the first time, he wasn't waiting for motivation. He was building evidence, proof that he could trust himself. Science calls this identity-based habits. When you do something consistently, your brain stops asking, "Why am I doing this?" and starts believing, "This is who I am." Elijah wasn't becoming a successful person. He was becoming someone who shows up, even when it hurts. And that, his dad later told him, is where real power begins. Day 7, he overslept. Alarm died. Phone ran out of battery. He lay in bed furious at himself. "See, I can't even do this." But then he remembered his dad never missed a day in over 3 years. So Elijah got up at 6 a.m. instead, did 10 push-ups, read 5 pages. He wrote in his journal, "Missed 5 a.m., but didn't miss the day." Day 15, his friends mocked him. "Bro, why you waking up at dawn? You training to be a rooster?" He laughed it off, but inside, doubt crept in. Am I just pretending? That night, he almost quit, but he reread his dad's notebook, page 312. "Today sucked, but I showed up. That counts." So he kept going. Day 30, he ran his first full mile without stopping. Felt like flying. Day 42, he aced a math quiz, the first A in months. His teacher asked, "What changed?" He just smiled. "I started waking up early." Day 47, his dad got sick, flu, fever of 102. Elijah expected him to rest, but at 5 a.m. he heard the coffee pot. Marcus was pale, shivering, but lacing up his shoes. "Dad, stay in bed," Elijah said. Marcus shook his head. "If I stop now, I might never start again." That moment burned into Elijah's soul. Day 60, he applied for a summer internship, something he'd never dared before. Got rejected. Felt crushed. But instead of binge-watching TV, he woke up at 5 a.m., revised his resume, and applied to 3 more. Day 78, 1 said yes. Day 90, he saved $200 from his paycheck, bought his dad new work boots. Didn't say why, just left them by the door. His dad found them that morning, said nothing, but Elijah saw tears in his eyes as he tied the laces. Some days were still hard. Rain poured for a week straight. He wanted to stay in bed, but he'd think, what would day 1247 do? He learned that progress isn't linear, it's messy, full of setbacks, doubts, and silent battles. But here's what no one tells you. The magic isn't in the 5 a.m., it's in the choice you make when no one's watching. And every time Elijah chose to rise, he rebuilt his self-trust, brick by brick. By day 120, he was tutoring classmates. By day 180, he'd raised his GPA from 2.1 to 3.4. By day 210, he got accepted into a state college with a partial scholarship. He ran to his dad, breathless. Marcus read the email twice, then hugged him so tight Elijah couldn't breathe.
"You did this," his dad whispered. "Not me, you." But Elijah shook his head. "No, we did." That summer, Elijah thrived. He coded, networked, learned faster than anyone expected. His manager said, "You've got the work ethic of someone twice your age." When he returned, he brought his dad a gift, a new coffee maker, quiet, fast, with a timer. Now Marcus didn't have to stumble in the dark anymore. But the real breakthrough wasn't the job or the money, it was the look in Elijah's eyes. Confidence, calm, purpose. He no longer saw himself as the kid who failed. He saw himself as someone who shows up. One evening, his old friend asked, "How'd you turn your life around, man?" Elijah didn't talk about apps or hacks. He said, "I started waking up at 5 a.m., not because I wanted to."
His friend laughed. "That's it?" Elijah smiled. "That's everything." Because by then he understood. 5 a.m. wasn't about the hour. It was about claiming your time before the world demands it. It was about proving to yourself that you are reliable. And once you believe that, everything else becomes possible. Today, Elijah is 22. He graduates next month with a degree in computer science. He's been offered 3 full-time jobs, starting salary over $85,000. But more importantly, he calls his dad every Sunday. They run together on weekends. And every Monday through Friday at 5 a.m., they text one word, up. His dad still works at the warehouse, but now he walks taller. Because he sees his sacrifice reflected in his son's eyes, not as burden, but as legacy. Elijah lives in a small apartment, not fancy but clean, quiet, full of books. His fridge has more than milk and eggs now, but he still makes coffee at 5 a.m. Looking back, he says, "It wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it was just showing up, even when I didn't want to, especially when I didn't want to." He knows life won't always be easy. There will be layoffs, rejections, bad days. But now he has a compass. If I can do the hard thing when no one's watching, I can handle anything. And the ripple effect? His younger cousin started waking up at 5 a.m. last month. His high school now has a morning club for students wanting structure. All because one tired father chose consistency over comfort, and one lost boy chose to follow. This isn't a fairy tale. It's proof that ordinary people doing ordinary things with extraordinary consistency can rewrite their stories. Now, here's what this means for you. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. tomorrow, but you do need to choose one small thing, just one, and do it consistently. Maybe it's writing for 10 minutes, walking for 15, reading 1 page, calling someone you love. Starting tomorrow, you can decide, who do I want to become? Then act like that person even before you feel ready. Your failures aren't the end, they're preparation. Every time you got back up, you were building resilience. You just didn't see it yet. Choose one thing, just one. Do it at the same time every day. Track it. Celebrate showing up even if the result isn't perfect. Because discipline isn't about punishment, it's about respect for your future self. Every day you wait is a day lost, but also a day you can reclaim. Your story isn't over. This is just the beginning. And if a tired father in Cleveland and his struggling son could change their fate with nothing but consistency, so can you. Stay for more stories that might change your perspective. You've got this.